so much to talk about.
Oh yeah.
But I do think
Excuse
I
me.
do think that we should here, hold on a second. I'm just oh my god, man, I'm such a mess. Okay, let me tell you, bro. The COVID test is no joke.
Oh yes. Okay. Okay.
I feel like they shoved that thing about a mile into my face. It was
So
rough.
was that was that the first one or the second one?
That was the second one because the first one I did myself.
Okay, I thought you still, put it far enough there where no.
No way, bro. I was like,
It's like,
eek.
okay, all right, cool.
Yeah,
There we go.
no, I didn't. I did not do it like the nurse.
So, I mean, did she read your mind while she was there?
Okay, so she did the strep swab. She did the flu swab, which the flu swab's kind of uncomfortable, but
Yeah, yeah.
tolerable. Then she busts out the COVID. And she's like, okay, so judging by your flu reaction or your flu swab reaction, here's what we're going to do. Because at first I was just sitting on a chair. And, I kind of pulled my head back a couple times. And she's like, I'm going to need you to sit up there and put your head against the wall because you're going to want to pull back and I can't let you do that.
Oh my God.
So I couldn't go anywhere. I was like, how far does this thing have to go? And she's like, it has to go until it can't go anymore. And my nose is not the smallest. So there's probably an indentation where my head was against the wall. I was like, yeah. But dude, she shoved that thing so far in there. I can still feel it now.
Oh my.
And when she pulled it out, there was like blood on it. I was like, bro, are you gonna hit my, I think she hit my brain. Anyway, so yeah, I'm lucky that I have strep. What a great, the doc came running and she's like, I got good news. It's strep. And I was like, yes. And then I was like, what a crazy world we're living in.
I know. When you text me, I was almost going to just send you like a gift, like, oh, hell yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, but I was like,
he's got strep.
You still got strep, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyway, so I'm doing a little better. The antibiotic is kicking in. I haven't really had chills or much of a fever.
You sound normal. You sound normal. So
yeah, I was so dizzy yesterday. I was walking around here. My equilibrium was all messed up. I was like, whoa. I was like, I got the corona.
Oh no! Don't even put that out there.
But she's like, look, one side of your throat's a little red and swollen, so I'm assuming that's a good sign because corona doesn't present like that.
Right.
I was like, well, good. Anyway, let's talk about the shuttle launch, bro.
Okay.
Or the Crew Dragon launch.
Yes. You posted something that was on Profound Experience Instagram, which was as soon as I saw it, I was like, bro, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful piece. And I watched, as the day kind of progressed and everything, I was like, yo, this is a historic day,
Yep. 2011 was the last time they launched.
Yeah.
Manned space flight from the United States.
So. And with the whole process of it, kind of going through, I was and they did a good job with the coverage, and I know they had to do their kind of social distancing stuff, and they kind of showing some pictures of the mission control where everybody had their mask on and everything, but just the full coverage of how they covered it. It was
it was completely unprecedented.
Right. I didn't have words for it. It was at a point where
was it next level?
It was next. It was next level. It was next level. But it was. Yeah, I hit the matrix right there. It was just fun. It was fun to have, because we're big sci-fi just geeks, basically,
Yeah.
nerds, and we love all this space travel and just and for us to be in a world now where the United States is going to be shooting and having rockets going to the space now again,
Yeah.
it's fun. We can go to Cape Canaveral and we can see a launch again. I wasn't blessed enough to go and see one of the shuttle launches, but with everything going back now, we can go and see SpaceX launch a rocket into space, and
Yeah.
that's damn cool.
So how cool is it that it wasn't just the first manned space flight from the United States in, whatever, 9 years,
Hmm. Hmm.
but that it was done by a civilian corporation in conjunction or in partnership with NASA.
Right, and NASA just basically leased the launch pad, right? That's the only
Mm-hmm.
affiliation they had to it, right?
Well, the astronauts are NASA, right?
Okay,
They're
okay,
U.S. NASA astronauts. They're United States assets, if you will, government assets. Um, but SpaceX is a private sector company, and they have really, outside of contracts with NASA to launch payload, they have there's nothing government about them.
hmm
And that to me, and what they're able to do, I mean, there's so many things that we could segue into from here, but like you said, the coverage was different. The entire approach, I mean, they have new spacesuits. The Dragon module is top notch, state of the art, and to me, it's just super exciting. And I posted something earlier, and I said, "Is there anything that's more quintessential American than, or quintessentially American than space flight?" I mean, of course, the revolution, etc. But I'm talking like technology, innovation,
right.
engineering. Just the STEM programs that we seem to have lagged behind, or we're kind of lackluster compared to the rest of the world after the space race was over. But now that, like, all of that seems to be in the forefront.
Yeah,
And
it's the motivation too behind it.
yes,
Like from when we first started the Mercury program, it was in conjunction with, okay, we are, the Russians are starting to go to space. We got to compete. I mean, who's going to
yeah,
be the first country that's going to uh, get to space? We need to get that. We have that control. Who's going to be the first country that does that? And
yeah,
the motivation was not to just go into space and be like, oh, this is cool. We want to go to space and see what's up there. No, it
yeah,
was like, we ain't got no choice, because if Russia gets up there first, we don't know what they can put up there, and then we're going to lose our foothold on the whole world and our country, and it's going to be game over.
right,
So the motivation was different then. And obviously it continued over into each one of those programs when you went to Gemini, and obviously, Apollo, getting to the
yeah,
moon. Who's going to be the first country to get to the moon, and land a human being on there? And how does that progress? Oh, we got the foothold up there again. Great. America's, we're the leaders. We're the best, in the end of the Apollo program, because, unfortunately, we weren't the first to do, we weren't the first to get into space, first human in space, first person to walk in space. That wasn't America, that was Russia. You know, the satellite was a Sputnik, that was
yeah,
Russian. So we were lagging behind. We were working hard, but Apollo really set us apart, from landing the first human, you know, on the moon.
yeah.
And
Well,
and
it's military muscle, right? It's flexing your military might in terms of innovation, because it gives other countries the proverbial aha moment when they're like, okay, well, if they can do this, if they can shoot somebody to the moon, they can 100% hit us with a nuke.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
So it's almost a strategic asset
Hmm.
as far as capability goes. And dude, to me, it's just neat. But I mean, it goes so much further than just the space race. I mean, I don't know how much you read up or study Elon Musk, but I do quite frequently and quite often. And his whole intention and his whole goal in life is to make not just the planet better, but to make humanity a spacefaring civilization. So he has all these intricate plans to go to Mars and build a colony there. And I mean, it was almost like it went unnoticed, but the shuttle took off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stage one detached. Then stage two started their 19-hour journey. Within 6 minutes, bro, stage one came back down through the atmosphere, landed on the drone ship, ready to be flown again.
Exactly. That was the part where I wanted to see it, but the camera went out and I wasn't able to see the landing. And I was more excited, honestly, to see that thing come back. It's just a beautiful sight to see that thing just kind of come down and land by itself. It's
It,
it's it's so beautiful, you
it's
know.
literally what sci-fi stories are made of. And granted,
Exactly.
it's not the, hey, we're dropping in on Tatooine.
Yeah, right. Coming out of hyperspace or something. But
Yeah, but I think we can get there. And this is, we're still very young, and we talk about the evolution of technology all the time.
yeah,
But I think the bigger picture is that, we now have a vehicle that we can bring to Mars, land it on Mars, and then take back off from Mars, because Mars has enough material on its surface to make rocket fuel. I mean, if we could just get find the hydrogen in the ice, we can take off from Mars, which is, innovatively speaking, is genius.
yeah. It's going to happen. We're going to Mars. But again, it's just from the launch from yesterday. It was exciting because I mentioned before the motivation, but now our
Mm-hmm.
motivation, I feel as though, hey, our motivation is to discover. Our motivation is to innovate. Our motivation is to take our technology to that next level. So, we can travel to Mars. We can travel to other planets. We can go further than we've ever gone before. We can push that envelope, you
Yeah.
know, of exploration. There's so many movies, there's so many stories, books of just exploration, and you know, humans have always we want to discover, we want to know why, and this just gives us that opportunity to answer that question. Um, and it's what dreams are made of, I think.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I watched that thing today and yesterday, and one of the things that surprises me the most
What's that?
is that there's Russians on the space station.
Why does that surprise you?
Well, it doesn't surprise me from a, like, why are there Russians on the space station?
Uh,
And at one point when they were getting ready to dock, the commentator was like, hey, you're looking at the international dock module or receiver module or whatever they're calling
mhm.
it. And so it's an international standard, right? And I was like, if naturally it would have to be. Because could you imagine bringing a spacecraft up there that's like, oh, well, this is American standard. You got to go to the other side of the ISS. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying?
Right.
So in space, I mean, we're launching together with Russians out of Croatia. I don't understand why in space our differences seem to not matter. Because out there, the only thing that counts is furthering humanity, right? The science that they're doing, the partnerships that they have. I mean, they're keeping each other alive. You have Russians up there and Americans up there that are in lockstep, because if they're not, one of them could potentially die if they're out on a spacewalk or whatever.
Yeah,
How does it work in space? Yet when you come down here to this blue marble, all of a sudden, the sense of community and the sense of we're one thing doesn't exist anymore. How's that possible?
so in space, I think that you have a lot of Not saying that there's not a lot of intelligent people here on Earth, but you have a lot of scientists, and the scientists are very logical, and they understand that the job that they have to do, even though if their beliefs um, are different, and
Yeah.
maybe even some of the philosophies that they have taught, or have learned their entire lives are different from, a Russian. Uh, but they understand they're scientists, and they understand that they do have a job to do,
Yeah.
and they respect that person there for their abilities, and they see that commonality there, and it's appreciated, it's respected, and that takes precedent over the differences. It takes precedent over, hey, I don't like you because you think this or do that. It's like, look,
Yeah.
like we're here to do a job. We are in outer space. Okay. You know, we, if something happens on the space station, like you said, hey, it's me, you, and everybody else that's on here. We have to save each other, right? It's not, oh, well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my American buddy right here, and then we could get the escape pod and we're gonna
Hmm.
jettison out. No, I mean, I mean, you, it's a symbiotic relationship, just as it is down here, and you need them to do their job just as you are just as important as everybody. Okay, I'm using my words here, but everybody is just as important doing their job as just as they are to yours.
Yeah.
You know, and if they don't do their job, people can die. And that's extra pressure, but that's just reality up there. And I, like I said, I think that up there you have that precedent, you have that number one goal of like, look, this is what we're doing. This is our focus. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna worry about you, what color skin you are, or what religious beliefs that you
We don't
believe.
got time for
I
that.
don't no, I ain't got time for this. We are traveling like what, Mach 33. You're going
Stupid.
faster than a bullet. Like if something comes and hits the space station, that's it. You might have a couple of seconds to try to figure out what to do before that whole thing is gone. And if you got more than a couple of seconds, you guys need to make a decision on what the hell you're going to do, because you ain't got that much time to live. And that's just the reality of things,
It's
so
so I agree. It's reliance on one another, and it's the realization that everybody's got a job to do, or everybody's got a part to play, right? My contention there is we all have to play that same part down here, right? And I don't really want to get into the human disparity about all of that right now. I just think it's fascinating that we can set, and let me preface this statement by saying I'm not for having international standards for sovereign countries on earth, right? I believe in countries' rights to be countries, to do their own thing. But I think it is incredible that we can set international standards on the space station and it works. Because ultimately, going forward, say we send, you know, I don't know, think 100 years into the future, there, there may be a couple thousand people on Mars.
yeah,
What laws do we follow? Do we follow American law? Do we follow international law?
it's a good
Is
question.
the collaborative effort, if say SpaceX beats everybody to Mars, they're a private company.
Yeah, it's a good question.
So who is their sovereign government on Mars? No one. So is it going to be Elon Musk's law? Because he is SpaceX's, CEO.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
or do we figure out something completely new and unique? Because I think on those worlds, the same thing goes as on the International Space Station. You make one mistake, you could all die.
yeah,
You could kill your crop, or your fresh water is going to get contaminated, or whatever. But ultimately, I feel like all of those same responsibilities do still fall on people on Earth, We just have the luxury and the freedom to ignore.
Like I said, that's a great question, and that is going to have to be one that's going to be answered before we even get there, because
Yeah.
because we go there and then we're like, all right, we're here, and then we all of a sudden these issues pop up, and you're like, oh, now what do we do? And it's just
It's a mutiny.
right. It's going to be a survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
You know, who's the leader? What rules do we follow? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if we got tons of countries up there,
Who's the judge, jury, executioner? What I mean,
exactly?
what happens if somebody goes crazy up there and they commit murder?
Because
I mean, those people are, they're run through the gamut of psych tests and evals and all this stuff. But you can't tell me that there is a net zero chance that somebody isn't going to flip out. Especially the more people you start adding.
Right. Because I mean, it's an X factor. We just don't know. We have to anticipate that, and it's interesting. It's a cool idea, concept, and that's what makes it so fascinating with everything when it comes to space travel, because it really gets into almost the science fiction aspect of space travel. Because if you go to Star Trek, even if you put it Star Wars and some other sci-fi franchises, there's multitudes of different planets, different cultures, and it's almost like and you gotta what law is the law?
Yeah. Or are you on the outer rim?
Are you
behind the Kuiper Belt?
Or I mean, are you from Vulcan? Are you from Romulan or Romulus? Like where are you from? Like what laws are laws, and what makes your law better than mine?
Yeah.
Or vice versa. It's a cool concept to think about. Now, luckily, we only have to worry about one planet at this time, but
currently
we have enough on our plates
But again, if you'd have told somebody 300 years ago that in 2020 we'd be sitting here talking through a machine and I could see you face to face, and there's a rocket that just launched yesterday and docked to an international space station, they'd have been like, bro, you're nuts.
Right. So,
bro, in 1492, they didn't even think the Earth was round.
It's round.
Or is it though?
It's round.
I know. But so it is definitely interesting, because that's, 600 years ago. Not even. So in 600 years from now, who's to say that we can't, we didn't come up with some kind of whatever fusion engine that can go, Mach 7,000.
Yeah.
Or, something close to light speed. Who knows?
He said Mach 7,000.
We don't know. We don't know the calculations that AI is going to be able to make. But so say there was a no return mission, right? We somehow figure out a spaceship that can travel and self-sustain. We plotted a path to go to figure out where we can get, water from either storage or recycled human waste, etc.
Okay.
Right. So sustainability is not an issue, but you're not coming back. Would you go?
Yes, I would.
Why?
I think inherently I've always had the question of why. And it always fascinates me. So believing rather, that, there's other planets, life, systems that are out there. I would like to see them. I maybe selfishly, I would want to, experience that. I think it's something that the human eye hasn't seen or experienced, and I think that would be a privilege to experience. And obviously, number one, if I leave and I ain't coming back, everybody here I know currently is going to be gone, but, I think that there's something a little bit greater, that there's that sacrifice that, that I would make, to not just to be selfish, to try to experience something that's something that nobody else ever has, but just to have that courage to take that step and to do something that's never been done before.
Yeah.
I mean, with me saying instant yes, like in less than a second.
You've thought about this.
I've thought about it a lot.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, from when I was a little boy, and from watching, movies of the space program and documentaries and reading books and things like that, like our test pilots and our Mercury pilots, our astronauts, they did things that, these engineers and scientists, thought up. And a lot of people were like, this ain't gonna happen, man. These people are gonna die. And they took that risk. And that
some
risk,
of them did die.
Some of them did die. And that risk that they took, it was worth it, because it allowed us to do things and to have things now, the technology that we have now, that they took that risk with their lives, with the technology that they believed in. And took that next step. And they lived to tell, not the tale, but they lived to enhance our technology as a species, not just as an American, country, as a species.
Yeah.
So I think, taking that mission, taking that opportunity, I would be doing the same thing now with the technology and whatnot, or the signals and experiences. I mean, obviously that would be, sent back to Earth, but I think that's a sacrifice worth taking.
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree with you. It, of course, it on the face of it, I'd be 100% in, just because, I agree with you. I think there's things worth sacrificing for, and I think there is an inherent human want for trailblazing, which is maybe why like post-apocalyptic shows do so well, or just the idea of, hey, even though this is complete chaos, there's like these small nuggets of enjoyment that you can find in trying to rebuild a society. And I think that that trailblazer sense is what humans have always been great at.
That little piece of humanity.
Do I think that maybe the last half of century we've been a little bit stagnant? Maybe. I think we got very much consumed as a species with, our personal differences and our, really, really petty differences, I guess is the right word. But yeah, there's something so much greater than just one person. And of course, for me, it's difficult because, if I could bring my family and they were down, no question, but
it'd be like a Lost in Space type deal.
Yeah. I mean, making a conscious decision to leave your children for the rest of your life, because you'll have a natural life, or presumably.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit harder of a choice, but, I still think that it would be intriguing, and I would 100% have to consider it very carefully, because I would want to do something that would leave them in a better place. I mean, I'm not sure you can make a greater sacrifice, but there is a lot of thought that goes into it. It's not like a split decision where, you jump on a grenade to save your brothers and sisters, militarily speaking, or, jumping in front of a bullet for a close friend or whatever. That's more of a of a gut reaction. You're not thinking about that. You're not thinking about the consequences. All you're trying to do is protect those that you love.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I was always fascinated by the Armageddon ethical dilemma. You know, would I have done what Harry did?
You would have.
Full go all nuts Harry Stamper, bro.
That was that's
I would have done it.
yeah.
I would have done it.
To save the whole world?
I've had dreams. Like when I was, after that movie came out, I really as a young teenager, I really started kind of struggling and wrestling with that idea of self-sacrifice for the greater good. And I used to wake up in my dream, like I would have the trigger in my hand and I would wake up, as soon as like the nuke went off. I'd see the mushroom cloud and then.
Do you think when you were younger, do you think your perspective obviously was different, how you felt? Did you feel like more anxiety when you were younger to be like, oh man, if I just, let it go, or if I sacrifice myself, I'm going to be losing out on a bunch of stuff?
No.
Did you kind of have that? No? Okay.
Well, I think it was the sacrifice then is more principled.
Yeah.
But now it's more calculated.
Yeah.
Because now I know exactly what I'm doing it for. Right? As a young adult, you're really doing it because you feel like it's the right thing to do or it's a calling. But now there's many justifications that would say 100%.
Yeah.
Like I said this last week, but I don't really want to go into, my daughter, but if I would have been able to take her cancer from her, without a question, I would. You know what I'm saying?
Any parent would. Any parent would do that.
Exactly. And being a parent kind of changes your perspective and makes you much more ice cold and much more calculated when it comes to that. Like there is no way that I'm not catching a bullet if somebody comes in our house for them. There's no way I'm getting them out of the house if the house is on fire, and even if I get stuck, like not a discussion. But yeah, so I think there's more reasoning behind that, and it's much more measured of a decision. But say me leaving Earth on an unending mission or a non-return home mission to save the planet, let's go. I love you guys, but I need you to live, so Daddy's got to go now.
Oh, you said, I guess this gets me kind of choked up there.
It's just a Truman for me.
No, Harry. Ah.
But yeah. I mean, I would 100% do that. I would love to be the guy that they call. Granted, I don't own an oil rig, but
that's good stuff.
You're saying we did a bad job? No, I said you did a piss poor job.
That movie stands up, man. That's a good movie. Movies are stories.
Mm.
They got to be written out first to come that somebody has the idea for it, all that, that jazz. But when you see it on the big screen and stuff, when it kind of comes up there, it's entertaining, but more than anything, it's a story. Yep. And those stories being told, I mean, they touch you, man. Like there's so many movies, stories, and stuff that's out there, but there's a lesson in each one of them. There's a lesson in every single movie that you've ever seen. There better be, even if it's a comedy. There's a love lesson. There's a, hey, I screwed up lesson, whatever. And, everybody wants to be entertained by movies.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to peel it back a little bit and kind of understand what that movie is telling you. So
I think you have a responsibility to yourself to to think a little deeper than the entertainment value. You know what I mean? Like I said, I mean, if you absorb a movie and you absorb what it's trying to tell you, like I'm not sure I would have necessarily thought about self-sacrifice for the greater good at that age unless I had seen Armageddon. Because it was really one of the first times that I was that blindly confronted with, okay, this man's daughter is going to die if he doesn't do this.
Mm-hmm.
So for him, it's no question. And he's perfectly at peace and okay with it. And I'm dead serious when I say I used to have dreams about that. And I don't think if I had thought about it in that manner, if I hadn't let the information in and I hadn't, you know, done my due diligence in self-exploration or self-discovery when it comes to that subject, I'm not sure I would have been ready to confront it if I hadn't previously thought about it. So, I mean, look at Battlestar Galactica. We both enjoy that so much. And I still thank you for the recommendation 8 years ago, almost 10 years ago.
You're welcome.
Because it touches exactly on that, right? It's survival. Mm-hmm. And granted, it's a little bit different because they're not going back to their home planet, but it's essentially an unending mission until they find a new home. I would go, bro, 100%. It would be the honor of my life outside of, of course, being a father and a husband and such, but to go be a part of that. The excitement that brings to me is insane.
Yeah, and with that too, like with mentioning Battlestar Galactica, there's a lot of layers, to that show.
Right.
There's a lot of story. There's a lot of tough questions that the audience is asked and shown. And
yeah, they explore politics and ethical dilemmas and right. what is right and wrong and how do you
terrorism and treason and torture. It asks these questions, and when you answer it to yourself, you will know what type of person that you are, and are you okay with that answer?
Yeah.
But that's what television does. That's what movies do. They do it blindly. I don't think a lot of people, when they watch these television shows, understand that second layer, say for instance, Grey's Anatomy. I don't watch it. I've seen some seasons before though, but it's not something I watch all the time. But it's a very, very good show. It's been on.
It's on what?
17 something season or something like that.
Something.
Yeah. But it touches the audience so strongly because you relate to the characters, you relate to the issues, you relate to the story.
They touch human conflict.
Exactly. But there's always a question in every single episode. There's always a lesson that's there. You're entertained when you're watching it. You might get emotional and cry or get angry or sad or whatever. But there's
I'm not crying, you're crying.
But there's a lesson there. And that's what I love about, TV shows and movies, because there's that deeper level that's going to, show you something that either the producer, director, actors, they're showing you. And that's an art. Being able to communicate.
You're talking Shonda Rhimes, bro. That's next level genius.
Exactly. So, but even with directors like Steven Spielberg or Ron Howard or George Lucas and these guys, and I'm leaving a bunch of directors out, but these guys have influenced me in a lot of the movies that I've seen. But again, like how they tell their story and how they ask that question and teach you that lesson, with the movies that they have created and the stories that they tell. It's beautiful. So
it definitely shapes your value system.
It
to
does.
to a certain degree, and of course you have spiritual and family, social influences, etc. But you can't, I don't think, discount all the information that we absorb from what is quote unquote entertainment value. And if you watch nothing but Jersey Shore all day,
Right. I
you're
mean,
gonna you're gonna pick up some of those layers.
there you go.
And
Right.
you're gonna not saying that you're gonna think that acting like that is okay, but I mean, how many people? I refuse to watch it.
It's
Of
good.
course, I know snippets and stuff like that, but to me, that like I won't watch Honey Boo Boo, or I refuse to pay that stuff any mind, because I think it's just a train wreck. To
You
me,
know,
there is no value in it other than either laughing at other people, judging other people, and I don't have time for that.
yeah, I think everything, it is a TV show, but in its reality television. And I think that's what makes it so real, is
Mm,
because those lessons, those people are going through those exact things. And that's real. It's not like I mean, some of it can be staged, and I think that it is. But again, it is a television show. But there are lessons that are there. They're basically like, hey, we're going to screw up and we're going to make mistakes. We're human too. You better learn from our mistakes. Don't be stupid and drink this much alcohol.
yeah,
But again, it depends on the viewer. But again, that the message is out there, you know what I'm saying? But again, and that can kind of take place, and in some of the movies and directors I just kind of described, their
yeah,
lessons are pretty, straightforward, but there's other stuff that's out there in more violent movies or more extreme movies where, things in events and actions are glorified, and it can be like, oh, I want to do that. That looks pretty cool. But you have to look with better eyes than that.
yeah,
And you got to be able to be like, that's not the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go and, have 12 shots at, so-and-so's bar and then, black out and then something bad happens. You don't remember the next day, or
yeah.
next day or whatever like that.
And
So,
I don't want to put myself on a high horse and say that, oh, I never ever consume anything that's not educational. You know what I'm saying? That's not the case, because I watch plenty of garbage, but I try not to. And I really do. I really try to consume things that give me some sense of value in return. Like if I'm
right,
investing my time, which is the most precious asset I have, then you got to give me something. You can't
right,
just give me shots, shots, shots.
right. I mean, I think as we've gotten, older and we've matured, like the way that we're stimulated,
Yeah,
watching it, conversations that we have, the shows that we watch, the books we read, the people that are in our lives around. Like, if you're not on that level, I don't want to watch you or be around it or whatever it
yeah,
is. It's just, you know, I need to get more out of it, and ain't nothing wrong with that, you know. So,
yeah.
but Jersey Shore's cool sometimes. I watch it. It's good. Snooki, Jay Wow,
You're crazy.
Polly.
Bro, stop. But did you watch Kevin Hart on Rogan this week?
Did not, man. I did not get a chance to watch it. I saw like
That
I
dude.
saved it. I know it's like a 2 hour podcast,
Yeah.
but I didn't get a chance to watch it. Yeah, that's the second time on. I know he talks about it a lot. But
Dude.
I did see a couple of stuff he posted this week about everything that's kind of going on.
Yeah.
Super intelligent guy.
Isn't
Has
he though? He
a
is
lot of
he's
a
so
lot of
clever, and
guy
he
has a
ex-
lot of perspective on things, and the
yeah.
way that he uh, explains his viewpoint, it's very easy to understand if somebody doesn't get it. And sometimes you just have to be direct. You know, I've been doing sales for a long time, and sometimes you talk about this, you talk about that, and then you kind of come around and you kind of complete the whole loop.
Yeah.
It sounds good, but sometimes it's got to be direct as hell and just say, this is the point, this is what it is, and that's it.
Yeah.
So
Yep. No, he inspires me on a completely different level. Like his energy, his enthusiasm, and he hasn't always been on top. You know, and he talks a lot from his failures. He talks a lot about, you know, the things that he went through when he was a younger child, adult, you know, or teenager or whatever. And he went a little bit more into that in the first podcast that he did with Rogan. But he's just on another level, man. He's such a hard worker, and he gets shit done.
I've
Like
always
he
liked.
really just gets stuff done, and that, to me, he inspires his community. He's a leader in the African American community. He's doing all these literacy programs with, you know, like for financial literacy. And one of the examples he gave in there was he partnered with JP Morgan Chase, and when they were trying to figure out like how to build the program, one of the bankers was like, well, you know, we'll go down there and we'll just, you know, have a little chat with them. And he's like, no, man. He said, they're not going to receive, you know, kids in the hood, they're not going to receive some polished white banker dude coming in there and trying to preach, you know, from the mountain.
Right.
He's like, you're not relatable. He said, it needs to be someone like me. Somebody who's made those mistakes, you know, somebody that didn't grow up with, you know, two parents having great jobs and, you know, being able to go to college for free. And he's like, that's not, you know, I need to be relatable. Those kids need to see themselves in the person that is speaking to them. And to me, you know, one of the best pieces of advice that my dad probably gave me was, don't ever take advice from somebody who's more screwed up than you. And I'm not sure. I think it's something that, like, I think maybe Carnegie said. And, you know, to me, I take that a little bit further. Don't take advice from somebody that doesn't understand your situation or can't relate to what it is you're going through.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you to go do this and this and this, but if you don't even have the ability to go do this and this and this, then my advice is garbage. So, yeah, from a relatability point of view, I think it's super important that, you know, he's doing that. But like I said, Kevin Hart just inspires me, man. He's short like me.
I've always admired his career. You know, when he first came on the scene, you know, he was in a couple, you know, movies. I think he was in like Soul Plane or something like that. And I mean, it was a funny movie. It was good. And, you know, but his character was funny. I mean, he's always been funny. But at that time, like he's almost like he was peaking, right? And I was like, okay, you know, this Kevin Hart guy is probably to come out with other movies and doing all this other stuff. And then like all of a sudden, it was like, it's like he hit a wall and you didn't really hear about him. And at that time, you know, kind of like, you know, actors and comedians would kind of, you know, hit real quick and then that's it. There would be like a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen with him. You know,
he came everywhere,
back,
bro.
He came back super strong. He came back in a couple more movies and he kind of like, he remade himself, right? Or really, he probably didn't even remade himself. He just showed us exactly who he was.
Yeah, and maybe before he was just trying to figure out, like, you know, who am I? Who am I?
Exactly.
How's this going to go? Because they do a lot of exploration.
Yeah, but then once his career took off, comedy, stand-up, like, just funny as hell. And
I would love to meet that guy, man. I just want to have a 5-minute conversation with him. I don't want a selfie. I just want to, like, give me your thoughts, man, because I know you talk fast, so you can squeeze a lot in 5 minutes.
Right. Right. And the thing is too, right, with people that are that intelligent and have gone through a lot and have a lot of experience, the thing is, I feel like once they talk to anybody, it's how we receive that information and how we process it, right? Because, you know, you can read something and be like, oh, this is what I need to do. But how do you take that information and then apply it into your daily life, to do what you need to do to be a better person. You know, because I listen to a lot of stuff that he puts off his Instagram, which is very super like motivational, but taking that information and utilizing it and flipping it so that way you become a better human being on this planet.
Yeah.
You know, that would be the question I would ask him, or really anybody that is, you know, very successful at what they do. It's that transition from, okay, I know what I need to do. This is what I got to do to get here. But how do I connect those two together, apply it, and then make it happen?
I think it's mindset, bro. I really think that they have figured out a way to just say, you know what? This is what it's going to be. This is what I'm going to do. And that's it. And I'm not stopping until that's done. And I was looking on Under Armour the other day because I was trying to, somehow I was on Home Depot looking for flowers. And then I was looking at the, so if you're military, there's this thing called ID Me, or you're private military or whatever.
I've
you can sign up and you basically register your DOD affiliation, and you know they can go back and check your records and verify that you're military. So ID Me does a lot. Like you can go to Ray-Ban and get your military discount. Like if you shop online, you know, there's not necessarily like a military discount code. Through ID Me, you can go and get verified basically to get
the discount.
It's like a backdoor access to Home Depot, Ray-Ban, or whatever. And I was on there. I ended up looking at stuff on Home Depot, but I was like, hey, let me see how I can get my military discount, because with Lowe's, I'm already registered. My account's already registered as military, so if I shop online, I automatically get it. But yeah, with Home Depot, so I clicked on ID Me, and then it's like 40% off for military with Under Armour, and I was like, all right, let me go look. And I saw one of the Rock's line, and one of his T-shirts says "hardest worker in the room." And I'm not sure he said that, because I heard that a long, long time ago, and I was like, that's who I want to be. Like, I'm not gonna let you outwork me, and if you do, or you try, then everybody's going to be better. Like that, going into it, that's my model. And I don't know if that's the medicine or if that's the solution, but I honestly think that you can't make money quick. Success is not something that happens overnight. Like all these people that are super successful, they have built that blood, sweat, and tears, and they didn't sleep. And you know, I think that once you figure out, and I think Kevin Hart figured out how to tap into that and just not stop working. And I'm obviously not as successful as Kevin Hart, and I don't know if I want to be. I'd like to be.
Well, I think that success is the result of the hard work. You work hard. You work very hard at everything that you do. So the successfulness of that, I think, it's the result. The result, it depends on what you do and what you get out of it. The comparison to be a movie star and a comedian and all the stuff you get from it. I mean, for what we're doing right now, or where you're at right now, you're not there. But I will not say for 1 second that in terms of what you do and what I've seen you do in terms of your hard work, like you work your ass off.
Thanks.
You know, so like I don't want you to think for 1 second like you're not Kevin Hart. You know, you're not Kevin Hart. You know, you're you, but you work your ass off. And I think.
But you know why I do that, or why I think I do that? It's because it's the only thing that I can control. I can't control people saying no. I can't control people telling me, hey, you're not qualified for this job. And that's happened. I mean, that's happened to me, I don't know how many times in the last couple of years. Even in even in my own company. Like if I see a job out there and I'm like, this would be cool, I apply for it. And sometimes they're like, bro, you're not qualified for that. And I'm like, all right, not yet. I mean, some of those are like 15 to 20 years experience, and I'm just, I haven't been in the workforce all that long.
Yeah.
Um, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop. But I can't control anything coming in from the outside. The only thing that I can control is what I put in. And that's kind of how I've been going about it for the last few years.
I think you may have tapped into what Kevin Hart and everybody else is
I
doing.
don't know, bro. It's not, but anyway, I don't want to. I didn't want to make this about me. I just think that, like, that's why I wanted. Like, I would love to talk to him because I want to. I don't. I just want to know what his mentality is on. Like, how do you see something and then go chase it? Now, granted, when you're a celebrity and you have, I mean, we were talking about SpaceX yesterday, and not saying that it's easy what Elon Musk did, but when he sold PayPal and made $160 million, or when PayPal was bought by eBay, I mean, he wasn't really part of the company anymore. He was just one of the, I think, the majority shareholder. He made a lot of money. So what does he do? He turns around and he starts Tesla, SpaceX, and invested some money in his brother's venture, Solar City. Um, yeah, I mean, it's, if you have $100 million to drop on something or a project, yeah, granted, it could still not happen, but I think you're increasing your chances quite a bit. Like when some of these celebrities start clothing companies, or one of the Kardashians starts a makeup line. I'm like, okay, cool story, bro. But hey, more power to them. You just if you have a platform, by all means, use it.
Yeah.
But I think to get there, that to me, without, what's your mentality on getting to that tipping point? Because you build momentum, and I feel like I told Sam when she first started back acting, I was like, the only way that you're not gonna be in a big movie at some point is if you quit. I said, if you just have the patience and you have the mental fortitude to, after every gut punch, because some of those are like, you're too skinny, you're too white, you're too short, you're too tall, which that's a whole nother story, because that pisses me off about Hollywood, because they get on this righteousness, and they talk about, oh, equality this and fair treatment that, but if you're in a casting room, none of that matters.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not black enough, or we don't like your accent, we don't like the way your nose looks. Like, they'll pick you apart. So I was like, look, if you can just put that all away, all those no's, all those gut punches, you can put all that shit away, you'll make it. Maybe you'll be 50, who knows? But yeah, I don't know what the mentality is, but I know that the only thing I can control is how I work and what I put out there. And I wish that I knew somebody that was that just unbelievably successful, because I would be like, bro, am I on the right track? Are we on the right track? Like, I honestly believe this thing we're doing could be something. I mean,
believe
it's midnight, bro, on a Sunday, and we're sitting here.
Oh, it is.
Doing this.
Yeah. But it's not like a job or a like an obligation.
Yeah.
The only obligation that we started, or we had when we started this, is to be honest with ourselves, and to be honest with no matter what we're talking about. That was it. And to be authentic.
But I think we also have an obligation to one another to keep doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because there's a dynamic here.
Right.
It's not just Till, or it's not just Mike. It's both of us.
Right.
And
with other people coming on in the future, which they will, that's going to be another dynamic, another point of view that will add to the stories, will add to what we are doing. and will continue to do.
Yeah, 100%. And the whole Kevin Hart thing, it goes back to the story.
Yeah.
The way that he tells his story matters because people can relate to it.
I agree.
Anyway, bro.
Oh, want to call it?
Yeah, we can call it. It's late. Let me see your shirt. Not planned.
The angle.
Not planned.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Yep. Houston, this is Crew Dragon. That was awesome, man. That was so inspirational. I hate that it happened in this crazy time, but
it's definitely.
I think we needed something positive. I think we needed something to look at.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's bittersweet. I think there's, if I can use my words right now before we end this, with everything that's going on in the world, I think that we'll definitely touch on that like in another episode. But
yeah,
with this one right here, it's a little bittersweet with everything that's going on in the world in terms of something that is near and dear to both of our hearts with space travel and everything, and it's beautiful. It's a thing that we'll cherish. Data will cherish forever. Now, going forward, just with America and what is going to happen, we just have to stay positive. But it's definitely something that we're going to talk about because it impacts not just you or me, but everybody, because we're all connected. We'll obviously talk about that, later and everything. But I think the most important thing is that right now, love who you love, be who you are, do what you do, and be safe. No matter where you're at, there's still a pandemic that's going on and everything. So just be safe.
There is riots.
There are riots. But again, like we'll touch on that later. But just be safe, man. That's the biggest thing right now. No matter what race, color, ethnicity, religion that you are, in this world, period, just be safe, So
be safe and be better.
Safe and be better.
All right, brother.
All right, brother. All right.
I love you, man.
Love you, sir. All right.